Hello, Caroline. Are you there? Please reply if you're reading this. I wanted to ask you something. You married my son 2 years ago and came to live with us, but you're still working. Why is that? When are you going to quit that silly job of yours? You're going to be 30 in a few months, you know, right? You also know that my husband runs a company and someone has to take over that company after your husband. I suggest you start getting busy bringing a new member to this family. A male heir who will take over the company one day. Have you even put any thought into having a child? Besides, I sure would like to see a grandson soon. Good morning, Mother. I think I mentioned this numerous times, but the person that will take over as the president of your husband's company will be determined on merit. That's how your husband wants it. He's not going to have a family member just take over because this person is a relative. Well, that's all very virtuous and all, but that's not the real world, Caroline. In reality, my husband's company has been run by 3 generations of this family. It's been handed down from father to son for generations, and our company has profited because of it. Merit alone will not suffice. There is a little thing called tradition, which you seem to be lacking, Caroline. It has already been decided that your husband James will eventually take over as the next company president, and after him his son, my grandson. Yes, well, tradition is all very good and all, but times have changed, Mother. I'm not saying it's wrong. If the person taking over is competent, whether that be James or someone else, I'm all for it. Will you stop contradicting me? You always find a way to refute everything I say. My husband has informed me that you are a very competent and reliable employee, but your competence and this issue are completely different. You are in no position to determine company policy. You're just another employee. I suggest you keep your nose out of it. I think that applies to you more than it does to me, don't you think? Pardon me? The person that will be promoted to that position concerns all the employees, and that person's decisions affect us all. You've never in your life worked at your husband's company. It seems obvious that it's you that has no right to decide who becomes the next company president or any other position. How dare you? How could you say that? I'm this company president's wife, for God's sakes. I certainly do have the right. Yes, I'm quite aware of that, but that makes no difference whatsoever. Makes no difference? Have you lost your mind, Caroline? I'm in possession of all my faculties, thank you. Do you really think that just because you're the president's wife that you can make such an important decision? Well, I have the right to. Just doesn't seem logical to me is all. This is getting nowhere. All you have to do is just stop complaining and work on giving us a grandson so that someday he will be able to take over this company and continue this long-established custom. If you have time to spurt such nonsense, I suggest you use your time more wisely by having a child. Right now, I'm giving my work priority above all, and I've talked long and hard about this with Jim. Pardon me? I know you complain to Jim about this matter all the time, and he gets irritated because you're so bull-headed about it. But could you not take that frustration out on me? I have other things to worry about. Jim said that? I wasn't trying to be difficult or anything. Just so you know, Mother, Jim is sitting right next to me and seeing this entire conversation. What? Are you serious? Why didn't you say so before? You better be ready for a line text from him later on, and it won't be a very pleasant one, I can tell you that. You tricked me into this, didn't you? You had him sit down and witness this conversation. How could you? Even if I denied such an absurd allegation, you wouldn't believe me, so what can I say? This is getting really exasperating, Mother. I really have to go. Goodbye. Caroline, are you seeing this? Answer me! I want you to come home right away and do a little cleaning. The place is a total mess. You married into this family, and you live in this house. You have an obligation to do some of the chores. Sorry, Mother, I'm still at work, and I have to do some overtime tonight. Got a project to finish up. Sorry. Are you serious? My husband left his position as president to become the chairman. There is not much time left for you to get to work conceiving a child. And why are you still working? There's no need. I want you to resign and stay home and fulfill your role as a wife. Excuse me? You want me to be an obedient little housewife, is that it? Are you all right, Mother? You know I'm not the type. Like I said, I give my work priority above all. Are you still going on about that? Anyways, Jim did the cleaning as soon as he got home earlier. He just sent me a line saying that he finished. Wait, you're having James clean the house? And don't tell me he's also cooking. Yes, sometimes, anyways. We're not even living together anymore. How could you even know the place is a mess? We both share household chores. When he's busy, I do the cleaning and cooking. That's what we agreed on. I don't need you telling us what to do. Don't tell me you want me to come to your house and clean too. Is that what you're getting at? Is that what a housewife has to do? This sounds like your typical mother-in-law pestering her son's wife kind of scenario, like in some daytime soap opera. We didn't opt to live near you guys just so you would pester us day and night. How could you say that? It's a mother's duty to look after her son and, in extension, his wife. To pass the experiences of being the wife of a company president. I'm sorry, Mother, but before you start with all the same old hot air again, I received permission from Jim to respond however I saw fit. Just so you're aware. Jim gave you permission? And what's this about hot air? Also, I'm going to be pretty busy with this current project, so if you send me any messages that sound like the same old spiel, well, I'm simply not going to respond. Wait, what? So you're just going to ignore me, is that it? Yes, I already got Jim's permission to do it. Jim would never allow such a thing. I better have a talk with him about this nonsense. I really can't have you interfering with my work. We're in a crucial phase now, so I would appreciate your cooperation, Mother. You really know how to anger someone, Caroline. Yeah, well, whatever. How could you just ignore your mother-in-law, for Christ's sake? Always giving your work priority and shunning your responsibilities at home. What kind of a wife are you, anyway? I will make you listen and obey me. Mark my words, Caroline. You'll regret talking to me that way. Mother, have you gone totally nuts? Why did you go into our house without permission? And why did you change the locks? How do you expect us to get in? Are you trying to lock us out of our own home? Do you realize what you're doing, Mother? And besides, where the hell did you get a spare key? I never gave you one, and neither did Jim. I simply took my son's key and had a spare made down at the mall. Hold on a second, Mother. You had a spare made without us knowing? Yes, when he visited us last month, I saw his key case on the kitchen table. And when Jim and my husband were watching that football game, I drove down to the mall and had a spare made. He never knew it was missing. You just went and made a spare key to our house? For what, may I ask? Yes, that's because you two would never give me one. Jim promised he would when you first moved in. If I don't have a spare, how am I supposed to go over there and check the place and see that you're doing your duty properly? Mother, do I really have to explain? Stop right there, Caroline. If you want to enter this house again, I suggest you admit that you were wrong and obey my every demand. I want you to pledge that you will never disobey me, the mother of your husband, the current company chairman. And you mustn't forget that I'm the current president's mother. I want your solemn oath that you will never, ever again defy or refuse to obey your mother-in-law. I want your word or you're not entering this house. Wait a second. Did you just say the current president's mother? I'm not sure I understand you. That's right. Why is it so surprising? Just leave company matters to the current president. That would be my son and focus on conceiving a child. You're the president's wife. There's no reason for you to work. Do as I say, Caroline, or there will be consequences. If you're so dedicated to your job, well, you can continue, but that means you'll have to divorce my son. And that's final. Oh, okay. So that's what you want me to do, huh? You want me to just resign from this company? Am I understanding you correctly, Mother? That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Have you finally gotten that through your little head? There are plenty of other employees that can take your place. That's what a company is for. You work, and when your time comes, you retire to raise a family. It's the normal course of things. Simply just resign and focus on bringing us a grandson. That's your role. It's about time you learned that, Caroline. Oh, okay, Mother. That means we'll just have to see the demise of this company, I suppose. You're joking, right? The company won't go under just because one of its employees resigns. You hold yourself in too much regard, my dear. Mother, you never fail to astound me. I really thought you had the company's survival in mind and that you were serious in your concern regarding who would take over as president, but then you tell me that I have to resign, and not for the good of the company, but to have a baby. What are you trying to say, Caroline? My concern for the company and the family are clear-cut and logical. There is nothing irrational or unjustifiable about what I'm saying. Oh, but it is completely irrational in my opinion. Okay, so if you think what I'm saying is so irrational, then explain that to me. Which part of it is it that you find so unreasonable? Like I said, you attach too much importance to yourself. It embarrasses me whenever you applaud yourself, extolling the virtues of your own work all the time. I mean, how arrogant do you have to be to say the company will go bankrupt if you quit? My God, the audacity! Mother, I hate to tell you this, but I'm the new president of the company. Say again? What did you just say? I said, I'm the new president of the company. I recently took over. I'm surprised you didn't know. Stop joking around, Caroline. I'm serious. This is no laughing matter. This concerns the future of our family. The next president has already been determined, ever since he was born, as a matter of fact. How could he give that position to you, please? Then why don't you ask your husband or contact Jim right now and ask him? They will both tell you the same thing. Or you could even call the office and every employee there will tell you the same thing. This is some kind of prank, right? And what about James? What's James going to do? If he's not president, is he just a regular employee? That can't be. Jim's set to resign by the end of next month. Again, I'm surprised you didn't know. Resign? You're saying he's going to quit the company? Yes, he says he has other objectives, so for now he'll work freelance and see how things go. Freelance? Meaning he's not even going to be employed by a company? Yes, for a while, I guess, after which he says he will eventually start his own company. Start his own company? But why can't he just take over this company? Why would he start his own? Don't tell me you don't even know about that. I thought for sure you would know that. I didn't realize there was such a lack of communication in your family. Jim said that when he went to visit last time, he brought it up several times. He did? I never... He told me that your husband and Jim discussed this possibly years ago. Jim wanted his advice. After all, your husband built his company from scratch. Who better to get advice from, right? Huh? Really? And this was all before Jim and I got married. Neither my husband nor Jim mentioned anything. Oh, and as a side note, as for being selected as president of the company, both Jim and his father were explicit in their decision that I keep my business matters separate from my personal ones, meaning even if I became president, it would not affect our personal lives. And this decision does not mean that because Jim was not selected as president that I stole it from him. Please don't get that idea. Why wasn't I told about this? This is important. My husband nor Jim gave any clue as to what was going on. Caroline, answer me right this second. Why is my husband divorcing me? What did I do that was so wrong? Ever since you arrived, this family has gone totally haywire. You ruined our family, Caroline. And why did Jim throw away the opportunity to become the president of his own family business? And now he's a freelancer? Why? And my husband, he didn't lift a finger to stop him. As a matter of fact, he encouraged him to quit and become a freelancer. What has gotten into everyone? You put a jinx on this family, Caroline. But the worst was yet to come. They appointed you as the next president of our company? How did you manage to dupe everyone? And now my husband wants a divorce? This is like some nightmare. Well, for one thing, you came barging into the offices of our company announcing to everyone of your status as the president's wife, screaming and demanding that your son be appointed president and that after him, our non-existent son, your grandson, be in line to take over after him. That didn't go over too well, especially with your husband. He was humiliated in front of all of his employees. Well, I only did that to protect our... If that security guard hadn't stopped you, you were going to come barging into my office and make a scene. Weren't you? But your actions were futile. A complete waste of time. Did you really think that you would be able to change policy or any decision the company makes? You have zero authority to make such demands. But I'm the president's wife! It doesn't matter, Mother. I'm sure your husband told you many times about his frustration with the old traditions. That generation after generation you select a family member as president. It just didn't sit right with him. He wanted a more merit-based system. He believed a more equal and fair playing field would allow the company to grow beyond its wildest dreams, instead of clinging to old traditions. No, he never meant those things. He was always a family man, always followed tradition. Please, Caroline, talk to my husband and ask him to rescind this silly divorce. He doesn't need to do this. I'll change. Please convince him. I really can't do that, Mother. It's really not my concern. Why? Why can't you at least do this little favor for me? Please, Mother, work it out yourself. I have nothing whatsoever to do with your marriage. It's kind of late. I have to get some sleep. Goodbye. Please, Caroline, help me. Okay, I'll give you my blessing. How's that? I give you my blessing that you become the next president. Will you then help me in return? And about who will take over after you, well, I'll leave that up to you and James. You two can make that final decision. I won't interfere at all. What do you say, Caroline? Please? Please convince my husband to think it over. Please. Caroline, are you still there? Please don't cut me off. Please, Caroline, I need your help. Actually, my father-in-law told her that he was considering me as the next president, but she just wouldn't listen. Her mind just seemed to shut down whenever he brought up the subject. She couldn't accept the fact. The only thing that was on her mind was that her son was destined to become the next president, and that the wife would have to stay at home and have babies. Eventually, I was appointed as the next president, but that fact never entered my mother-in-law's mind in the slightest. Her son was the only person in the world that would be appointed, and that was that. There was no convincing her. She was so programmed by her self-delusions, a form of self-hypnosis, if you ask me. It was probably in that state of mind that made her barge into the office and cause the embarrassing scene in front of all those employees. My father-in-law was so infuriated by the incident that he began to question why he was even married to her. which eventually led him to file for divorce. After the divorce went through, she received a comfortable settlement and returned to her grandparents' home back east. But her spendthrift ways as the president's wife never really waned, and her savings quickly diminished. Her grandparents were worried that she would next target their meager savings and pension, and quickly cut ties with her. I heard she was living all alone in some beat-up apartment downtown doing various part-time jobs to make ends meet.